A lot of these banks, let's take specifically the Bank of Montreal, CIBC, and TD Bank, all have mortgages on their balance sheet that is negative amortization. What is negative amortization, you ask? Simply, it is the balance is increasing on that mortgage, so the person isn't paying. Essentially, it's what I like to refer to as a shadow default. So as you've probably been aware, if you look at their stock price, it's not doing terribly great right now. It is still doing much better than you would think, considering the amount of risk on their balance sheet. Now, with one bank in particular, I'm talking about CIBC, the risk is even higher because the mortgage part of their business is such a large percentage of their business, and they are currently being audited by the OSFI right now due to LTVs being completely out of whack. Now, an LTV is essentially a loan to value ratio, and what has happened at CIBC is essentially you've had people borrowing more on their home than it's actually worth. Who would have thought it? So the thing is, the mispricing of these mortgages is not reflected in the bank's stock, and essentially that could mean that the stock is going to correct by a lot. Now, I'm not saying I'm shorting it. I'm not planning on shorting it because shorting comes with incredible amounts of risks, especially when it comes to the banking sector in Canada. You know, I wouldn't want to take that trade. I think there's far more profitable trades out there right now. But what I am able to see is the sheer amount of risk that is in the Canadian financial system that other investors just simply aren't seeing. You see, the EU actually came out with a paper and they actually said that negative amortization was a very bad thing that contributed to the 2008 subprime crisis in the US. That a lot of these negative amortizations were the reason why borrowers owed more on their homes than their homes were actually worth. And coupled with home equity lines of credit and all these different other things that people have supported themselves with over the economic turbulence that we've seen over the past few years, it is ultimately a recipe for disaster. And